which ballet was the most fun for you to design? Cinderella or Nutcracker?
Oh wow. Figuring out which one was my favorite is like asking me who's my favorite kid. Because I love something about both Cinderella and about the Nutcracker. With Cinderella, I'll have to go with Cinderella as being my favorite ballet to costume, since I don't get to costume it very often. So one of the things that happens when you work with someone for a really long time as a costumer is there becomes this trust, in terms of I know what you're looking for in design and you understand what I'm capable of, and you wanted me to surprise you. And so when I did the seasonal fairies for Cinderella and the fairy godmother, it was the full package. I did the tutus, I did the headpieces, I did everything. And some of those costumes are just stunningly beautiful. And at this point, I had a little bit more of a budget. I could actually use rhinestones instead of glitter. So I sent you like kind of what we call our as a designer our storyboard to say, here's the fabrics I'm looking at, here's the ideas I have, here's some drawings, tell me what you think. And then you said, well, don't show me till you're done. So once you approved like fabrications and you're like, don't show me. And then I sent you the box, and then you had someone videotape you while you were opening the box and pulling these costumes out. And you like almost started crying. You're like, oh my God, they're so beautiful. And so for me, just that whole experience end to end was just amazing. And some of my best work I believe I've ever done.
One of my favorite memories of you as Sugar Plum was the first year you did it, and you were backstage with the Angels, and one of the Angels, this was relayed to me by a big burly crew guy who came up to me with tears in his eyes, that you were singing happy birthday to one of the little angels because it was her birthday, and he was crying telling me this story because he was thinking about his own daughter and how great that would be for her, and he was just so responsive to that. And I've always held on to that story, and I've told it many, many times, but I just want to thank you again for being so gracious to our students and, the other dancers in the production as well. And it's just a testament to who you are as a person and your incredible heart. And that just means everything to me. So
I think Nutcracker is so wonderful. I have so many amazing memories of dancing Nutcracker as a kid and as a professional. But as a professional, you are performing so often. So for Nutcracker season, my favorite part about Nutcracker is coming to schools like Iglevsky and getting to meet these kids and trying to make it as special as possible for them. Because I think back to when I was a student, when I was an angel, or a party child, or a hula hoop, or like all of the candy canes, anything, and how much I looked up to those Sugar Plum Fairies, the Dewdrops, all of them, and just having any sort of personal connection with the kids feels like the most important part of Nutcracker, just to show them kindness and be a role model for them and show that you don't need to be a crazy ballerina to be the Sugar Plum Fairy. Be kind and funny and joke with them and get to know them and play with them. That's my favorite part of Nutcracker.
Nutcracker is so important. There's two reasons. One, it is really the production that funds most ballet companies, just from a very practical perspective. A lot of ballet companies, every ballet company really, at least in America, relies on the funding from Nutcracker. So the second reason that Nutcracker is so important is it is a gateway to ballet for a lot of people. If you ask someone if they've seen a ballet and they say they've seen only one ballet, it's probably the Nutcracker. And the reason for that is ballet can sometimes be inaccessible. It's hard to understand if you didn't grow up watching ballets. And Nutcracker, a first-time audience member can enjoy it, and someone who's seen ballets their whole life can enjoy it. There's a lot in there that's well suited for a large range of people, whether they're a first-time ballet goer, they've been going for a long time, whether they're a child, whether they're an adult. Everyone enjoys Nutcracker, and I've done 40 different, years, or 40 different productions of Nutcracker, not 40 years, and each year, a range of 10 to 50 times per year. So that's a lot of Nutcrackers, but I still enjoy it, and I still hear that music around when the holidays start, and I still get excited about it. So that says a lot for that production, that it can endure for so long and reach such a wide audience.
You remember when I started on this journey, how crazy it was?
Oh man, do I ever remember. It brought back many memories of my own, but wow, you took this thing on by yourself. It seemed like 110 costumes,
Oh,
sets.
gosh.
Remember I was sending you like textiles to make things with, and you ended up
Yes.
making the bed cover with one of them. And
You were sending me these pictures of things from this place. That is a good story, because I had almost forgotten about it. You were sending me pictures. Can you use this? Can you use this? Because we had zero budget that
Zero.
first year.
it was like, this
Zero.
is $6. Can you use this?
And you actually, the one of the fabrics that you found, they were drapes, and we had a very Gone with the Wind moment and turned that into the bedspread for the bed.
That's
for the
right.
And
It's green and frilly.
and we had the wonderful seamstress that did that is an expert tailor. So when I remember telling our board, these were curtains, they were like, no, they were not. It's such a perfect fit. So those are still the bed covers for the bed in
I love it.
Nutcracker. It's
I know
perfect.
how to do something on a dime, I
Yes.
just know a shoestring budget and I'm all in.
It was the most perfect thing ever. You were, before Broadway came calling for you, you were a ballerina.
I
and you
was
have
a very
many-
serious ballerina as a child, yes.
Yes, you
Really
had so
fun.
many memories of Nutcrackers of your own. How did coming and working on Hours bring back some of those memories?
Oh, please. I mean, I have one of these brains, like I can't forget steps. If that music plays, I have to dance. So if I'm in the middle of the grocery store and bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, I'm suddenly Fritz, like, oh, because when I was 9, I played Fritz, the little brother in the party scene. So from there on, I played pretty much everything. So it was a thrill. I mean, it's, I did it for 9 years or something as a child and grew up throughout it and loved it so much and watched it year after year and learned all the other girls' parts. So it's so interesting to see your vision, your big, beautiful vision that's very different than the one I grew up with. I was thrilled. I was just thrilled. It looked so beautiful. I could not believe you had done that in such a short period of time.
I think you were more excited than I was. You were. I just remember you being so giddy that performance and seeing it like just we're here, we're ready. And I was probably a nervous wreck, but you were so much more excited and you brought me up to a level of excitement.
Oh, I hope so, because it's like, you hear that first note and I just love ballet so much.
I have so many dance memories with you of taking you to the ballet and you going backstage and seeing the costumes and the ballerinas and you are like the best date ever to take to the ballet because you appreciate it so much.
You're going to make me cry.
It's true.
I love ballerinas so much. They are so little.
Good evening, and welcome to Iglevsky Ballet's production of The Best of Five. I'm here in our costume and wardrobe room, and normally this time of year it would be buzzing with excitement with fittings and kids excited to see what they're wearing and how they're going to look on stage. And unfortunately, the pandemic has robbed us of that opportunity. We will not be doing our annual production of the Nutcracker on stage this year at the Tilly Center for the Performing Arts. Instead, we are offering you the Best of Five. It has been 5 years since I've assumed leadership of Iglevsky Ballet, and each year the Nutcracker has taken a little bit different form, though the overall shape of the ballet has remained the same. So we thought we'd share some highlights with you, years of variations that we thought were different or unique, and with some of our wonderful guest artists and some of the teachers and coaches that have helped us bring the level of the performance to the place that it is today. With all of that in mind, and I hope that you understand just how important this is to us, our proceeds from Nutcracker make up a significant portion of our yearly budget. With that being said, it's imperative that we find a way to continue our organization, and we ask that each of you, if you are able and willing, or if you know somebody that's able and willing, direct them to us to make a small contribution. We are a not-for-profit organization, a 501c3, so everything is tax deductible. We appreciate you, we welcome you to this performance, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is David Bernard, and I'm music director of the Massapequa Philharmonic, and we've collaborated with the Iglevsky Ballet for 3 years on the Nutcracker at the Tillis Center for the Performing Arts.
Well, hi, Maestro Bernard. Welcome to the Iglevsky Ballet Best of Five. How are you?
I am just great, and I'm so happy to be here to talk about Nutcracker.
Great, great. So I remember when I first heard that you were interested in working with us and providing accompaniment from the Massapequa Philharmonic Orchestra. That was a very exciting day because in our plan, we had about 3 more years before we were expecting to be able to have an orchestra join us. And your call just knocked me off my feet. How did you know, or what made you think of us and how this would be a successful collaboration?
Well, it's when I came to Massapequa, the first thing that I was looking to do was to find community partnerships. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm a native Long Islander. I grew up in Great Neck, and Iglevsky has always been part of my upbringing and part of my past. And the first thing I thought about was, wouldn't it be wonderful to collaborate on the premier Nutcracker production on Long Island? And it's the production in at the Tillis Center means so much to so many people. And I also knew that the Iglevsky Ballet is a community organization who is dedicated to bringing culture to Long Island and Long Islanders, which is the same vision and with the same imperative that the Massapequa Philharmonic has. So there were so many synergies between the organizations that it had to be successful.
Thank you so much for this interview.
Well, and thank you for the collaboration. It's been wonderful for me personally and for the Massapequa Philharmonic, and I look forward to many more years of collaborating with you.
Absolutely.
It's December 24th, 1891 at the Stahlbaum home. where Dr. and Frau Stahlbaum and their children, Clara and Fritz, are excited as they prepare to welcome their guests to their annual holiday party. The maid and butler are making sure everything is to the liking of their employers. The guests arrive, and the hosts greet their friends and families to share in the spirit of the holiday. The last guest to arrive is Clara's beloved godfather, Herr Drosselmeyer, a man full of mystery and even some mischief. At this party, there are toys for the children and dancing for everyone. Clara's beloved godfather, Herr Drosselmeyer, introduces her to his young apprentice. He also brings life-size dolls and a puppet show for all of the guests to enjoy. But most exciting to Clara is Herr Drosselmeyer's gift of a wooden nutcracker in the shape of a soldier.
Wow, that was really special to watch. I can't believe 5 years have flown by so quickly. My name is Jenna Oberman, and I played Mrs. Stahlbaum in the 2015 debut production by Maurice Brandon Curry of the Iglesky Ballet's Nutcracker.
Hi, Jana. How are you?
Hi, Maurice. I'm good. As good as can be expected, right?
Right, exactly. Now, you were our first Mrs. Stahlbaum in the 2015 production of Nutcracker, but you're also an Iglesky Ballet alumnus, and you actually portrayed Clara in the production for Mrs. Iglesky, right?
Correct.
How did it feel returning to the stage as Mrs. Stahlbaum?
Yeah, you're right. I played Clara actually in the 1989 production. And I realize I'm aging myself here. But I actually started out in 1985 as an angel. So I was in quite a few of the productions at that time. I have to say it's almost hard to be able to put into words exactly the mix of emotions I felt when you asked me to portray Mrs. Stahlbaum, or Frau as we called me during that time. There was definitely excitement, anxiety over not having danced or been on a stage in 25 plus years. But ultimately, all around, I can say that it felt like coming home. Like things had come full circle for me in a sense.
That's incredible. Any final thoughts of anything else you'd like to add that maybe I didn't cover that you had a thought about our production?
Yeah, I'd really like to add, quite honestly, in all seriousness, I'm really saddened by the fact that there won't be, a traditional production this year, and that it's just been yet another casualty of COVID-19. It's such a central part of the way that my family celebrates the holidays, and I'll really miss it. So that just means to me that next year's performance has to be the biggest and the best yet. And, no pressure at all, Maurice, but but that can only happen with other, folks' support. And so for anybody watching this, this is me asking for any support you're willing to give to the Iglesky Ballet, because it's near and dear and special to my heart. And I want my children to grow up with the same experiences that I had, and even hopefully perform in the production one day.
I just love that moment where they take the picture. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Huffman. That moment in the party scene where the photograph is taken, that is something I've never seen in any other Nutcracker. That is Maurice Brandon Curry's own little magic that he's added. And what I really love is the costumes are each beautiful, and every single performer gets a chance to show who they are. Just beautiful.
Hi, Katie Huffman.
Hi, Maurice. How are you?
I'm well, dear. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us in this special about our Nutcracker, the past 5 years of retrospective. You remember when I started on this journey, how crazy it was?
Oh man, do I ever remember. It brought back many memories of my own, but wow, you took this thing on by yourself, it seemed like.
How were Sarah and Matthew, how was it to coach them as kids? Because you coach actors all the time now, but how was it working with kids who were dancers and trying to you took this on, you came in just gracefully, yes, I'll do it. And you ended up working with the whole first act of the party scene, and you ended up working individually with Sarah and Matthew in their first year as the Clara and Fritz. How was that for you?
Well, Sarah and Matthew, were darling. I mean, what's so fun, and it's fun whether they're actors, singers, dancers, whatever. It's like, it's that moment with young performers where they discover that they can do something more. Particularly in dance land, it's like singers too. You can have a beautiful voice and nobody wants to listen because you're just so into the way you sound. And same thing with dancers. They can have legs up to their ears, they can spin like tops, and people can get a little bored and look away until you find what's inside of you. And there is that moment that both Sarah and Matthew had that year, was like, oh, so when these things are happening, I don't have to be in a position to be a perfect ballet dancer. I have the opportunity to be, actually connect with somebody and have a moment of real emotion. It was thrilling.
Oh, so wonderful, so wonderful. And I will owe you forever for that, because it made their lives, and even some of the adult dancers. Okay, I remember distinctly one coming out going, Katie Huffman told me I was good. My character was good.
Well, that was super fun, because particularly with the adults in the party scene.
Yes.
I think what may seem obvious to me, as I said, you can make up a story. You can make up who you are. So there's a family. Who is that family? Are they young? Is that the young family? Are they, is everybody jumping? And maybe you're the tired family, whatever it is. Like families and parents, they can each have a personality. Once again, it's not simply standing there in a position that's beautifully rounded and in line. In a party scene, you get to be a character, and you get to discover how movement informs that character. It's my favorite part. I mean, I think that's why I loved ballet so much when I was a child. This is like, I get to be not just have a physical experience. I get to have this whole new emotional experience that's different from my own.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this.
That's it.
This is it. You knocked that out of the park, as always.
I don't know. I want to talk about your Nutcracker some more.
As the party comes to an end, the Stahlbaum children are sent off to bed. Clara is too excited to sleep and slips downstairs, where she falls asleep on the sofa with her nutcracker. Suddenly, she awakens as strange things begin to happen. Out of nowhere, little mice and huge rats scurry into the room. Christmas tree begins to grow higher and higher until it towers over Clara. Everything in the room disappears, and legions of toy soldiers begin to show up, led by a spectacular captain who brings Clara's nutcracker, now a real soldier, into the battle. The toy soldiers go into battle with the rats, and Clara helps by throwing her slipper at the fierce Rat King, who, after seeming to defeat the Nutcracker, meets his own fate.
Hi, my name is Greg DeSantis. I'm a former dancer with the Iglevsky Ballet Professional Company.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Maurice.
How are you?
I'm good. A very exciting day with the news, and I have a pending birthday, which is also fun.
Yes, yes. You danced as a child and then became a professional dancer. How many Nutcrackers overall do you think you have been a part of?
Ooh, how many Nutcrackers have I been a part of? Well, my start of Nutcracker was seeing New York City Ballet as a toddler. My family would take me every year. So it's definitely always been a part of my life. It's hard to imagine a year without Nutcracker. That was probably the craziest part of the pandemic for me. But since I was 10, I've been performing in Nutcrackers. So if it's one a year, that would be at least, 22 now Nutcrackers, but there's definitely years that have more than one Nutcracker. So probably in the 40s of just Nutcracker productions.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. What do you think makes Iglevsky Ballet's production different from any of the other ones that you have done?
There are two things that separate Iglevsky from other productions in my mind. One is I've performed in school productions and I've performed in professional productions. And I don't know what I would call Iglevsky's because it has a lot of elements, of a school production and a lot of elements of a professional production. There are several professional dancers, there is live music. But it's also a school and it's a learning environment, and there's children, and you can't have Nutcracker without children. So I love the blend that Iglevsky has of school production, educational value for the children, but also putting on a professional caliber performance for the community.
So Greg, can you update us on what you're doing now?
So I've hung up my dancing shoes and I am now an attorney in Manhattan. I practice intellectual property law, and it's not a far cry from performing as an artist. I like to say I used to create artistic content, and now as an attorney, I work to protect artistic content. We've all been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, but particularly the performing arts. It's not just entertainment. For a lot of dancers, it is their livelihood. There's more than just the dancers on the stage. It takes a lot of people to make a dance production. And if you're in a position to help, your support matters. Please consider making a donation to the Iglevsky Ballet School or Iglevsky Ballet Company.
Drosselmeyer returns to break an ancient spell and transforms the Nutcracker into a handsome prince. After he is transformed, Clara recognizes him as Herr Drosselmeyer's apprentice. The two dance together and then enter a beautiful forest where snowflakes dance an enchanting waltz.
So wonderful to see you. Yumiko was our third Clara from 2016
Right.
production of The Nutcracker. So tell me, Yumiko, being the third Clara, you already saw two people deliver that role. How did you try to make your performance a little bit different than the others?
Yes. Yes, I remember on the first day of rehearsal being told that the 2017 Clara can't be the clone of 2015 or 2016. It has to be my own version. So the first thing that came to my mind was trying to be a better storyteller, trying to better my acting. So in order to find Yumiko version of Clara, so in addition to dissecting and analyzing the character, I also spent time knowing myself, knowing who I am, and for example, how I would respond to certain things that happens in a storyline if it were me. And I think it allowed me to understand what acting is, but as in not pretending, but being myself in the Clara's world. And most importantly, I tried rehearsing all the acting part myself and come up with many ways as possible to portray the character of Clara, and think about what comes naturally to me, to my personality.
So Yumiko, when you were Clara, we didn't have a young boy who was versed enough to do the role of the prince. Everybody was young, all the boys in the school were younger. So you had the opportunity to dance with one of the professional company members, Greg DeSantis. How did that change you as a dancer? What did you learn from that experience?
So dancing with Greg helped me in the way that I found more professional approach to performance, and I think it required me to grow as a dancer, but also as a grow emotionally. And I think a part of being professional is that being able to, or finding the way to handle the situation, handle the given situation, no matter what position you're in. And it also helped me think of the reason why I'm Clara, and it brought me the confidence that I felt validated to be the part I am.
Can you tell us a little about what you've been doing now that you're back in Japan?
Oh, yes. I'm in my second semester on the fall term in freshman year in university. I currently live in Kanagawa, Japan. I did go back to dancing before the pandemic, and if the pandemic didn't happen, I was going to be performing in the production of Paquita. But yes, but because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to perform. I haven't been dancing for a long time. All the classes are online, and I miss people from America. It's been a little tricky, but once in a while, I try to find something I can do to give myself joy of dancing. And it's not like I can ever stop finding any open spaces in the room, making sure nobody's in the room, and just smuggle some dancing time alone.
How wonderful. I am so proud of you. I always have been, and all that you are doing, and I miss you so much. I'm getting full.
I miss you too. And thank you so much for having me.
This has been a joy.
Drosselmeyer leads Clara and the prince onto their next journey in this magical adventure.
Why, hello, Matthew and Sarah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so well. It's so exciting to see my first Prince and my first Clara back together again via Zoom.
Definitely a long time ago, and I'm glad to see you guys too.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So proud of you both, all grown up and looking all mature and everything. It's amazing. So this was my third production of Nutcracker that I choreographed. But it was the first one for Iglevsky Ballet that the two of you were the leads. Were you nervous at all?
I was so nervous for the first performance. This is the first time that I performed by like myself in front of such a large audience. I was always just like a soldier. So now I got to perform a pas with Sarah in front of so many people, and I was so nervous about messing up.
Well, for me, like Matthew said, this was my first time performing a pas de deux as well. So I was a little bit nervous. I usually don't get very nervous when I perform, but it was kind of a jumble up of nerves and excitement, I think.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think you guys did a great job. So I remember when we started working on this, and we did a lot of work on everything from, you know, your acting and your technique and your stuff. And I remember bringing in Ashley Tuttle, who was the former principal at ABT, to work with you guys. How cool was that to work with Ashley?
It was so cool. Ashley Tuttle is perfect in every single way.
Oh.
Every time she would point her foot, every time she'd extend her leg, I would be put into a trance.
Working with Ashley was amazing. At the time, this had really only been my third year doing ballet like professionally, like you know, pre-professionally. So working with like bigger names wasn't very common for me. So having her in the studio was really something that was awesome. And I remember working a lot on the acting and obviously the technique of it all. But between Mr. Curry and Ashley Tuttle, oh my goodness, I was like so stressed about my acting, but it got really good towards the end. And I was really happy with how it all turned out between the two of them helping me.
Well, here's somebody to say hello to you.
Hey.
How are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What are you up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, right now we're doing an interview.
Right.
So Ashley, now that you're here,
Yes.
you and I have worked together for so many years on so many different kinds of productions. You're always my go-to eye for my projects to see what they look like and what I need to fix and if it makes sense. But what were your first thoughts when you saw the pas de deux that I had given these two and I asked you to come in and coach them?
Okay, so first of all, it was beautiful. My first thought was just how beautiful and musical it was. It really suited the musicality. My second thought was I didn't know of two young dancers more suited. You guys really, outside of just having the natural sense of the characters, you also had the technique to be able to do Maurice's choreography, which we all know is very challenging, right? Sometimes it can be quite hard. And you both had that with all your training you had done and just your natural coordination. So it was really actually an easy process for me to come in and watch, because it was more just helping you guys connect things, which happens as you mature as a dancer, not trying to make you do something that wasn't in you. You know, it was just kind of putting a little more water and fertilizer on the beautiful plant, you know? So.
It's so good to see all of you together. This did my heart good. Thank you so much for participating in this. And we're sad we're not going to have a real live on stage production this year, but we hope our audiences that view this feel the love and the warmth of what we've created over the past 5 years with this production. And I am so grateful to the three of you for being a part of it and establishing. You set the standard. You set the standard of what it should be. And that to me means everything. And again, it's talking about trust and how that relates to work as a choreographer and as a director and a costume designer and so forth and so on. And it was just, it made my job effortless knowing that Ms. Tuttle had you in her hands and was working with the two of you, and it couldn't have made me any happier. So I'm thankful to you, eternally grateful always. And I have so much love for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. I just want to say how beautifully performed the Nutcracker was. Everyone had great spirit and really enjoyed their time on stage. So it's really unfortunate this year we're not going to have those live moments on stage with an orchestra and everything. But there is still great magic in the Nutcracker, and it first happens from behind the scenes. So why don't we take a look at some of the behind the scenes footage and see how we created.
Hello, everyone. We hope you are enjoying this special presentation of the Iglevsky Ballet production of the Nutcracker. Around October, ballet companies all over the world begin rehearsals for the Nutcracker, the story of a young girl who receives a magical gift from her eclectic godfather. The Nutcracker has been beloved by generations of children and adults for over 100 years. Although the original production was not a success, Tchaikovsky's ballet began to slowly enjoy worldwide popularity after George Balanchine first staged his production for the New York City Ballet in 1954. In 2011, it was estimated that over 750 productions are performed in the United States alone. The Nutcracker may now be the most popular ballet in the world. There are over 75 dancers in the Iglevsky Ballet production of the Nutcracker, and they range in age from 7 to 7 times 7. More than 20 people backstage make sure everything happens on time and as planned. And the costumes? Well, over 250 costumes are worn by the dancers during this production. The Iglevsky Ballet costume supervisors definitely have a lot of work to ensure everyone, from the tiniest mouse to the Rat King, look their very best. There are also some truly magical moments in this ballet. From the beautiful tree that grows over 20 feet tall to the snowstorm, our prop masters and stagehands are working backstage to make sure everything comes to life. During our public performances this weekend, we even have the opportunity to perform with a live orchestra. In the second act, you'll get to see, I can't tell you about that. You just have to wait and see for yourself. We asked some of the Iglevsky Ballet dancers and a few parents what they love so much about the Nutcracker.
My favorite part of Nutcracker is being on stage and being able to perform alongside my friends and classmates.
Watching the Pom, the Sugar Plum Fairy, and the Cavalier is my favorite part of the show.
Definitely having rehearsals with my friends and having fun.
Probably the battle scene, because it's when everyone is like fighting against each other, but then it resolves and Clara meets her Prince Charming.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is when the angels come out. The littlest ones shuffling around the stage. I don't know why, it's really magical.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is the Chinese monster, and I've never actually been in a monster suit.
My favorite part of Nutcracker is the part when the mice go like this.
So my favorite part of the Nutcracker is the battle scene. I love the music. Every time I hear it, I get riled up and excited. And the best is just seeing the mice run around stage, big or small. So the battle scene is the best.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is when it is as a mouse where I get to scratch Clara. I like that everybody has a party and then it's like the maid and butler, they're very like silly and then they do a dance and it's really funny.
So my favorite part of the Nutcracker is when Clara falls asleep and she gets visited by the mice and the Rat King.
I like the choreography for the Rat King because I think it's really comical and athletic and just visually very fun to watch.
And when the Bob-Ombs came out and they did funny things.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is the snow scene. It's just exquisite in every way.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is the party scene because it has a lot of acting. The battle scene because the rats and soldiers are kind of funny.
My favorite part of the Nutcracker is dancing and all the parts that we get to do and meeting all these new people.
My favorite thing about the Nutcracker is the tradition of it all. For people all across America, all across the world, it's a tradition that exists everywhere, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you for attending this special performance of the Nutcracker. The overall theme of this beautiful ballet is Clara's love for the cherished gift from her godfather, Herr Drosselmeyer, and the magic within all of us. With that in mind, we wish you and your families the happiest of holidays from all of us at Iglevsky Ballet.
Merry Christmas! Feliz Navidad! Happy holidays! Kala Christuyana!
Merry Christmas!
Buon Natale!
Merry Christmas!
圣诞快乐! Z Rождеством Христовым!
Happy holidays!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm here with Catherine Kerr, who was our second Clara in 2016 for this production, and Anthony Hoyos, who was our second Prince in 2016.
Hey there.
So good to see you guys. And this is probably the first time you've seen each other in a long time, right?
Oh yeah. Catherine and I have been trying to catch up together, but we're never available at the same time, so.
And I have the magic to do that, right? I'm excited. Awesome. Do either of you have a favorite memory of any of your Nutcracker performances, not just Iglevsky's, but any of your Nutcracker performances? Do you have a memory that sticks out in your brain that makes Nutcracker very special for you?
I think whenever anyone performs, the audience wants you to do really well. They want to see you succeed. So just feeling that energy coming towards you and the spotlight right on you as you're taking your bow is just like, it really is very, very incredible, I have to say. That's one of my favorites.
Catherine, what about you?
My favorite memory of Nutcracker would have to be during the first performance that I was Clara dancing with Anthony. During the paw, I could see Courtney and Shayna in the wings watching. And as soon as I came off stage, they both hugged me and they said, "You did it." And it felt really great to know that when you push yourself and you work hard, there's nothing that you can't achieve.
Very cool. And Courtney and Shayna would be our wonderful rehearsal director and children's ballet mistress. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, each of you, now that you're all grown up and out into the world? Anthony?
So currently, I'm a corps de ballet member. I'm a first-year corps de ballet member with Carolina Ballet. I received my contract during August, so it was right in the heat of the pandemic. And yeah, I couldn't be more blessed. Really, to be doing what I do and having as many people as I do wish for me to succeed is really, that's just what I'm doing right now. So I'm rehearsing and dancing and doing what I love.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Miss Catherine?
I am currently a junior at the University of Pittsburgh, and I am a pre-med student studying molecular biology. And I'm going to apply to medical school this summer, and my goal is to become a pediatric oncologist.
Wow. I am so proud of you both. This is phenomenal. These are the kinds of things that make me so happy that I do what I do and get to watch all of you grow up and become these amazing adults and you know, share your gifts in all ways with the world. So thank you so much for this interview time. This has been perfect. And I love you both and I miss you both, and take care, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Clara and the prince arrive at the palace of the Sugar Plum Fairy and her cavalier in the land of sweets. There they are greeted by a chorus of angels and an exquisite archangel. They are joined by the beautiful Sugar Plum Fairy, her cavalier, and all the other inhabitants of her realm. The prince tells the story of his battle with the rats and how Clara helped him defeat their evil leader, the Rat King. Everyone is delighted that the prince and Clara are safe. The Sugar Plum Fairy leads them to a glittering throne where they can enjoy the entertainment of the denizens of the kingdom. Everyone dances for the two guests and brings gifts from all over the world. Spanish chocolate, Chinese tea, coffee from Arabia, Russian candy canes, marzipan from France, and a very rotund pair of candy makers and their delightful bonbons. We then meet a beautiful bouquet of flowers with a shimmering dewdrop dancing among the lovely blooms. Finally, the Sugar Plum Fairy returns with her cavalier to perform a most majestic dance.
Welcome, Savannah Lowry, to our best of 5 video retrospective of all Nutcrackers. And it's so wonderful to see you. How have you been?
I've been good. It's so good to see you as well. I hate that it's virtual, but I'll take it.
Hey, me too. Me too. It's so wonderful because you were the first Sugar Plum Fairy for this production of Nutcracker that I choreographed. And you've always been one of my favorite ballerinas. There's no secret. Everybody knows that. And it was just such an honor to have you there and be a part of this with me. And what, in your mind, made this production different from other productions that you have done?
Oh, well, it was such an honor to be the debut Sugar Plum for your production. I don't think I've ever been the debut Sugar Plum of any production, so it holds a safe place in my heart for that reason. When you're dancing at City Ballet, you don't always get the connection with the children. And I mean, that's what Christmas is about. That's what the Nutcracker is about. I think those productions should be geared towards the children. And so coming to your production, I got to be in the warm-up room with the kids, and I got to be backstage with them, be in rehearsals with them, kind of see them go from rehearsal to performance and just be more involved. And that's for a Nutcracker production for the holiday season. That's really special, and it just adds something. It really makes you want to get out there and dance for those kids. You feel like you're such a role model for them at the moment. And they're all looking up for you. You could fall flat on your face and they still love you, which is wonderful. It takes the pressure off. It really lets you it let me be me, which is really special. And it's just very, I don't know, humbling and wonderful.
So do you want to update us and tell everyone what you're doing now these days?
Yes, I made the crazy decision to go to medical school. And in times like these, it's crazy, but it's also super exciting. I think we need medical professionals, any first responders more than ever. So I'm really honored to be learning and to be alongside those people. I never thought I'd be starting medical school in a pandemic. I probably never thought I would really be starting medical school in general. But I'm happy I'm here in New York. I'm home. I don't know, it just feels right.
Well, it's amazing to see you, and so sending so much love and luck to you. And you don't need luck because you're talented and you're smart. But sending so many best wishes to you on this new journey in your life. And it's super exciting to see you. And I'm so glad you were able to do this little interview with us. Thank you so much. Paolo Torini. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It's so wonderful to see you.
Same for me.
So tell me about, because we had a conversation about this, but I don't think a lot of other people really know, what is the tradition or the way Nutcracker exists in Italy?
I mean, in Italy, we don't really have like the tradition of the Nutcracker, honestly. We like all the major companies don't really like perform that during like the winter season, like the fall. So like we're really lucky that sometimes some company from Russia come to like do it. So that's the only time that we actually see the Nutcracker in Italy.
Now, tell me, what did you think was the most difficult part of your role as the prince in our production? And what part of the role was the most fun?
Okay, so the most difficult part was for sure the big head that I had to like put on. Because first of all, like I could see just like from here to like here. So I literally didn't know where I was going. And second of all, like it was so hard to breathe in that. Oh yeah, that was really challenging. Also because it was not just like a simple thing to do. There was like a little manege, there was pirouette to do. So, you know, it was not the easiest part of the whole thing. And I think the most fun was like the whole process. So like coming there for the first time, like meeting everyone, learning the steps, like making new friends until like the day of the performance, which was like so much fun. Like see everyone in costume for the first time. So, and like finish and like be like also happy because it went all well. So yeah, that was a really fun experience in general.
But anyway, thank you so very much for doing this.
Thank you for including me again.
Hello, Chris Takashima. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Curry. How are you?
I'm so happy to have you as a part of everything we do at Iglesias Ballet. You're one of my dearest, closest friends, and of course, my favorite collaborator. And it's just having this retrospective about the past 5 years of Nutcracker would not be the same if we didn't have you participate in some way. So I want to just go back to the beginning when I first started on this path of Nutcracker in 2015 when I took over the reins at Iglesias Ballet, and our budget was basically -0. So you were able to take some of our costumes, mainly the first things that come to mind are the flowers costumes, and rework them in a way that people who had seen the ballet thought they were all new costumes.
Yes.
You want to talk about that for a little bit and what you did and how exciting that was for us?
Yes. So, it was kind of a combination of things. So first off, I had some rentals, and there was a Sugar Plum or a Dewdrop Fairy rental. And so when you said these costumes, though also the flowers, they're super long in the tooth. They've been well loved. The audience has seen them a million times. And I'm like, shoot me a picture. And so together we came up with an idea of how to kind of refresh these costumes, given that the budget was -0. And we put together what's called a plate. You have plates even, honestly, for romantic tutus, and just completely refreshed it. And I think you had some new headpieces, that you kind of whipped up. And so when they came out, it looked like a totally different costume. And we did some bodice pieces so that, they looked fresh and pretty. And underneath was still the original kind of, had been used for whatever, 15 years or so. But you couldn't tell from 25 feet away that it was still the same costume. So people were like in awe. They're like, oh my gosh, you replaced all these costumes. It was like, no, not really. But if you want to think that, that's okay.
You're being modest, because it wasn't just pieces on the bodice. You hand painted flowers and painstakingly put them on the bodice. It was a lot more than what you're describing. It's a lot more involved.
Since we couldn't use rhinestones because rhinestones are obviously expensive, we used the demon of every costume shop. We used glitter on those. And so not only were they hand painted, then they were hand glittered, and then we did our very best to seal the glitter onto the flowers. So it was an adventure, but you know what? We absolutely got it done.
So at this point now, since 2015, we've gradually replaced the entire second act of costuming. And you've pretty much, I think you've done the entire second act for us at this point, except for Arabian. What are, of all the costumes in the second act of Nutcracker, what are your favorite costumes that you've designed for us?
I would have to say for second act Nutcracker, the costumes that I love the most is the Spanish Panatois. So the two gentlemen and the lady. And not only do they're based on kind of a matador jacket for the gentleman and kind of a flamingo with a twist for the girl. And that skirt on that girl, when they toss her around, paired with your choreography and the amount and the way that you use the dancer's legs in that variation, it just is stunning. It just fits together. It's your vision plus my vision, and the outcome is just drop dead gorgeous. And that's what you strive for. I mean, we're both artists and we both love what we do, and the dancers are artists. And so when everyone comes together and creates this incredible visual moment, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
It just, to me, that's what I strive for and what I love about what I do. And when I do get to see those moments, it just is thrilling to me, just absolutely thrilling. And it makes all the glitter worth it.
Hi, it's Maurice again. I wanted to let you in on a little secret. Everyone who knows me knows that the pas de deux music for Snow and the Waltz of the Snowflakes is my favorite music in the ballet. But I also have a secret obsession with the music for the Mirlitons, or as most of our dancers know this music as the Marzipan. It is probably the most clever, bright, joyful music. To me, it rings of just happiness. And so because of that, I've choreographed it 3 times in 5 years, which is not really something I should be bragging about, but I just love it so much. The ideas keep changing. And we also have 4 different sets of costumes that we use depending upon the year. So it was hard for us to settle on which particular version we liked, but we hope you will enjoy this version from last year's production, 2019. Hi, Courtney Knitting. It's so exciting to see you.
Hi, Maurice. It's so wonderful to see you too. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you, dear. You were our Dewdrop Fairy in 2016, right?
Yes, I was.
Oh, you were barely a year out of SAB when we did that.
Yeah, crazy.
How surprised were you when I asked you to do that role?
That was a dream come true and a scary place all at the same time. Being the Dewdrop Fairy coming right out of SAB as a student, and also, I may add, you were the first person to actually hire me as a professional dancer. So technically, Maurice, being at Iglevsky Ballet was my first time being able to call myself a professional dancer. So that alone was just pressure that I felt, and just an honor in general that someone would put a role with that kind of, you know, pressure and singularity feature in the show. It was a lot, but it was absolutely amazing. I definitely was shocked to be given a role of that caliber so early and so young. But you always made me feel that I was ready for it, and that I knew you were going to push me in the best way to make myself feel comfortable in the role. So honestly, dancing your Nutcracker is probably one of the best experiences I've had so far as a professional dancer.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to Dewdrop, because I know you've done the role of Dewdrop Fairy in other productions.
Mm-hmm.
What makes ours a little different, or, you know, our version of the Dewdrop Fairy a little bit different, and which version of the ones that you danced did you feel allowed you, you know, stretched you more as a dancer?
Dancing Dewdrop for me is kind of a whole history of things. I originally, as a young student, was set on, I want to dance Sugar Plum. That was my dream. I didn't really think of Dewdrop. I just wanted to be the girl in the tutu, you know? And my mom, when she started to see me get older and knew, you know, professional dancing was something that I was really wanting to do, she was like, no, Courtney, your energy, you know, the solos, the music of Dewdrop fits you more. And eventually, when I hit about age 16 is when I went to see New York City Ballet's version, which is Balanchines. I saw Tyler Peck, who's one of my biggest inspirations, and I saw her dance that role, and I went, that's what I want to do. That's my dream. So getting to do your Nutcracker as my first professional gig and first coming out of the school and doing my biggest dream role was like mind-boggling, first off. However, the second thing was, like you said, I was used to a different Nutcracker. So knowing that music and now having to learn other choreography was a little bit of a challenge, I would say, just because of what you're used to. Naturally, your body, once it has music in you, you go to that choreography that you've known since you were little. So doing something new was totally a different experience. But one thing about your Nutcracker that is very different from others is, at least I have yet to find a Nutcracker that has the female girl solo, the Dewdrop Fairy, do 6 entrances in the choreography. So that's one thing. Typically within that music, there's only room for 5. And somehow you found a way to do 6. So that alone was a challenge because it's hard variation. There's a lot of steps to it. And of course, Maurice Brandon-Curry makes it the hardest version that there's possible. There's 32 releves and arabesque traveling in a diagonal. There's fouettes twice in the version. I honestly think it's probably one of technically the hardest roles I've ever danced. I compare everything to Iglevsky's Dewdrop, 100%. But also what I think is really cool is you have male dancers as well in your version, which I really appreciated because a lot of times people hear the Flowers music and go, oh, it's so girly and flurry and pretty and this or that. But actually having the male dancers within that role gives it a different energy. And I really fed off the guys who were dancing around me when they're picking me up. And, you know, it gives a little bit of flirtiness and a different energy that you can bring to the role rather than just its pretty, you know, costumes moving around and twirling. It's a totally different version, but I totally fed off of it and absolutely, I love your version. So
Oh, thank you. You were a joy to watch dance it. You just lit up the stage and sparkle. So tell us what you're doing now.
Well, right now, after being in quarantine for 7 months, I am a company member with Kansas City Ballet. And so our season has been pushed back, but we are dancing. We are currently in different pods, as you would call it. The company is spread out, and we are working towards creating a holiday show of various pieces, new choreography sections of Nutcracker even, that we'll be doing in our studio, which is also a black box theater. We're all dancing in masks. It's a lot of work at the moment to kind of come back from having that period of time off, but I'm definitely super grateful for this time that we're actually getting to dance, because I know a lot of companies still aren't able to get in the studio. So we're doing that. I'm doing a lot of dancing at the moment. I'm honored. I'm learning a lot of great roles, even for a small audience that will be social distance, but at least it's a way that we artists can still feel like dancers. And honestly, without feeling like a dancer, I don't feel like myself. So I'm glad that I have a little bit of a routine back in my life again, and can enjoy, trying to grow as an artist again. During these times, the arts industry has been impacted, but we are so fortunate to be able to create new experiences like this one and share these moments together. To help us continue this tradition in the years to come, please make a donation to Iglevsky Ballet. And now I hope you'll enjoy some of my hardest and most fulfilling moments on stage, dancing in the performance from 2016 of Waltz of the Flowers.
Hello, everybody. This is so great to be here with Unity Phelan, soloist at New York City Ballet, and a dancer who I love so much, and she's been our Sugar Plum Fairy twice in the 5 years that I have been director at Iglebski Ballet. How are you, Unity?
I'm doing well. It is cold. It was warm when COVID started, but you know, we're going with it. We're going for it.
Great. Do you have any special message to our dancers who are not performing this season?
I definitely have a message for the young dancers who are not getting to enjoy the stage this Nutcracker season. It would be to keep going. I think that I felt it during quarantine, during COVID, that there's such a draw and a pull to take a pause, and that pause can sometimes turn into a break. And I think that keeping the spirit and joy of dance alive is more important now than ever. When you're not able to see your favorite performer on the stage, when you're not able to go in class and do your favorite dance move, when you're not able to go work with your favorite teacher, I think that finding time in your day or in your week to put on Nutcracker and put on whatever you want to wear and dance around your house to your favorite piece of music from the ballet. And if it's a part you want to do, great. If it's a part you've already done that was your favorite, you should do that. It doesn't even need to be the choreography. It can just be whatever you want to do, but keeping that spirit alive would be my piece of advice to fill your heart with joy and remind yourself that Nutcracker will be back. And this is not the last time you'll ever dance it. Even if this was going to be your senior year, Nutcracker never goes away. So you don't need to worry about that. As you've seen, the Nutcracker is such an important and special part of all of our lives. If you can, and if you're willing and able, please donate to keep the Nutcracker alive and to keep the school like Iglebski full of these amazing kids and amazing adults alive for another year of Nutcracker. Donate now.
After all the festivities, Drosselmeyer informs Clara it is time to go home, and he escorts her away. Once she returns to the safety of her home and her mother's arms, Clara wonders if it was real or just a dream.